This presentation is for the Lead 500 class on leadership analysis of Elon Musk. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about Elon Musk, who really emerged in 1999 after spending 4 years in his office and pretty much between there and the YMCA developing a software program that he was able to sell to Compaq for $300 million. A couple years after that, Elon Musk was able to sell another software program to a company called PayPal for several billion dollars. And that really launched Elon Musk's career back in early 2002, 2003. From there, he invested his energy and time into a company called Tesla, which is really reinventing and really, I think, disrupting the automobile industry as far as electric cars go. And then at the almost same time, he worked with a company called SpaceX, which has really disrupted the resupply and rocket industry. His goal, he says, is to make a mission to Mars and possibly even retire on Mars. In the meantime, he's paying his bills through a multi-billion-dollar contract with NASA for resupplying the space station. And he hasn't slowed down from there. Hyperloop, which is a mode of transportation using a vacuum system, travel like 800 miles an hour, is something that he's invested in. And more recently, he also has invested in a company called Solar City, which is redefining how we energize our homes through various types of battery storage and also solar panels for roofing tiles. And even more recently, in recent weeks, he's announced and introduced a concept called Neuralink, which is meant to help keep us competitive with artificial intelligence and robots by connecting our brains to electrical processes into a link that allows us to interface and be much more productive and competitive. Again, all of these things are extraordinarily futuristic, and all this has happened in really a short 17 years since he's emerged from his first original, if you will, profitable business. But obviously, that didn't happen over 17 years. And really, in this course, we talked about leaders as being people, people that lead and people that others follow. In this case, I think we can almost say is Elon Musk the kind of leader that people are chasing. And it really does seem that way. As part of our assessment and our assignment, we basically covered 5 elements. We did an overview of the individual. We did the 5 practices of leaders. We also looked at personality trait. We looked at their core leadership behavior, and then we also took a look at the we basically did a summary of the individual. And what I want to do is I want to touch on one part of each of those, maybe a little more background. But when it came to the 5 practices of leaders, the one area that really jumped out as really pegging the metronome, if not breaking the metronome for Elon Musk, was challenging the process. Elon Musk, from his core, challenges the process, and I think it has a lot to do with his background that I'll cover in a little bit. But he rethought how do you build a rocket, and he was able to deliver a rocket launch at a tenth the price of traditional, government, NASA, and other type of delivery systems. When it came to doing the electric car in Tesla, once again, rethought it and just took it to a whole different level and broke it back down again and built it back up. And he's doing similar when it comes to the other technologies he's working with. So again, he challenges the process, kind of takes things back to the drawing board, rebuilds them back up. He's definitely the benefactor of technology breakthroughs that have happened in recent years, and he's able to advance his ideas because of those breakthroughs, specifically computer systems particularly, has helped him move his ideals forward faster. Something else that he's done as well that's highly unusual is he's released his patents for Tesla so that others can build on what he's already done. In fact, Elon Musk has said that patents are kind of looking backwards. And so letting people build on them allows him to continue to look forward, and it continues to let people build on what he's already accomplished. Now, when it comes to his personality, I kind of assessed him as INTJ. And in 1998, in the personality trait book by Myers-Briggs, one of the things that's said about INTJs in 3 words is that they're visionary decision makers. And I think that just pegs who Elon Musk is. And, you can just kind of leave it right there. When it comes to his core personality trait, I picked, path goal as his core behavior or trait. And the element within that was basically removing obstacles. I feel like that's what he's done his whole life. He sees an issue, he sees a problem, He does gap analysis. He finds the obstacles, and then he just removes them for himself and for others. So that's why I kind of lent on path goal. The thing that really I think makes him a leader, being made versus born, is looking at his background. He grew up in South Africa. For leisure, he would read the encyclopedia front to back, or encyclopedias front to back, for those of us who know where encyclopedias are and were. He also spent a lot of time programming early on, and actually sold a program when he was 12 years old for a profit. We made up some kind of a space game, and and he even really, he showed his futuristic tendencies by saying he really wanted to be an astronaut. And he also grew up during a time that was unusual in South Africa, and that was through apartheid, which lasted from 1949 to 1991. And he grew up during the time it was kind of winding down, which I think also added to his questioning of what is. And the other part is one of his favorite books, or really it was a radio show, was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe. The main character, Arthur Dent, was sort of a bumbling kind of person who was sort of stuck in his ways, that ends up traveling the universe using this guide that basically disrupts everything he thinks he knows about anything. And I have to believe that that's just reinforced with Elon Musk, the idea of questioning everything and looking at things from a different perspective, which is really how that book is written or how that story is told. And I think that sort of defined who he was. Leaving South Africa and going to Canada and the United States in his late teens was another sort of real, demonstration of his ability to sort of go beyond what is normal and what is status quo. He left there to go to Canada, go to school, to get to the United States. He went to school, got his degree, ended up in the early days of Silicon Valley, and just the ramping up days, and was just absolutely taken by what was going on. And so he decided he was going to leave school, jump into the foray, and start working on his ideals in this extremely fertile environment there. And he came out and he started his path. Now, the three qualities that Elon Musk assigns to himself, and the one that affected me the most, I'll talk about in a moment, was his work ethic, his ability to break things down to the basic physics and fundamental components and build them back up again. And the third thing was his ability to embrace criticism, which really was a powerful idea that I ran into. And as I read about him, he talked about not just listening to criticism, which I think I've done, but in reflecting on it, but embracing it, thinking of criticism as gold nuggets, as opportunities to grow. And he surrounds himself by people that provide him critical feedback, and he embraces that criticism. He uses that criticism to motivate and look for growth opportunities. And that really was probably one of the greatest impacts on me going through all this assessment, was learning how to do that. I say to myself, I'm going to fake it, until I make it, because I can see the ingenious behind doing that, behind learning how to grow, behind learning how to be more open, and again, just growing faster as a leader. Again, for that reason, I would say that in 17 years, for all that Elon Musk has done, he absolutely is a leader that we're not necessarily following, but I believe he's somebody that, really right now we're all chasing. And that ends my presentation on Elon Musk, and I appreciate the opportunity to submit this presentation.